you can learn and adopt is a conversion lift study, right? So for a conversion lift study, it helps you essentially understand the difference between the test group that was exposed to your campaigns in the meta environment and the control group that was not exposed to your campaigns in the meta environment. What is that incremental difference between the control group and the test group? So you can really zero in and identify that incremental lift, right? The people essentially that purchased from this group versus the people that purchased or didn't purchase from this group. Is there an incremental difference that you can attribute back to your campaigns in the meta environment? So a conversion lift study is really, really helpful when it comes to identifying if you want to scale your overall budget, as an example, if you want to attribute your campaigns, your sales, your conversions in the meta environment. And a conversion lift study can identify that incrementality between the two different groups. With an A/B test, right? So with an A/B test, what you're doing is that, so this is a different type of test, a different type of methodology where you're comparing two versions of the same campaign. You have group 1 and group 2. Both of these groups with an A/B test are going to be exposed to the campaign. An A/B test is a more tactical type of test, and it can help you identify essentially different variables, different campaign variables. So for instance, a lot of you have asked manual versus automation type of variables. That's one of the variables that you can test out. Other variables that you can test out, you can also test out different advertising objectives. You can test out different placements where your ads are appearing in the meta environment. You can also test out different types of creative, right? So creative A versus creative B, which one from a cost per result analysis delivers better overall results. So not which one is prettier, right? So this is not a beauty contest. This is based on performance. And this is another really, really helpful tool that can help you essentially identify insights and then feed those insights into your campaigns. Both of these tests are based on statistics, right? Which is really, really helpful. And can help you address different essentially types of questions. So they're both very helpful depending on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So we see an example, right? So this is a hypothetical example setting up essentially one of these types of tests. So the hypothesis, right? This is again an example. So the hypothesis in this test is Advantage Plus sales campaigns, do they generate better performance, right? Which is the question that a lot of you have asked directly or indirectly in the comments all throughout the session. So do Advantage Plus sales campaigns deliver better overall performance, more effective type of performance? Who is the ideal candidate when you're setting up this type of campaigns? Essentially, this is based for advertisers who can utilize automation, full automation, and a focus on a cost per result analysis. And the test structure, it will be recommended to utilize a conversion lift test. You can also set up an A/B test as well. So we see essentially the business as usual. So the business as usual, they are not utilizing that Advantage Plus sales type of campaign setup. And then within that, they have also layered in different variables, additional variables and parameters as well. So Advantage Plus campaign budget, Advantage Plus placements, Advantage Plus audience versus full automation, right? So not utilizing the automation versus full automation, and they can set it up and now really compare and scientifically answer that question if this is a better setup. A different test and learn methodology example that you can also utilize and learn from. And again, these are examples, right? You need to think through what is important to you and your specific business. So you can do. So the hypothesis on this is if you do a partial opt-out, like a partial opt-out of Advantage Plus solution is that going to generate better performance? So the ideal candidate in terms of the type of advertiser you want to essentially, you can utilize some of that automation. And you're wondering, is this really going to help me or not from a performance? And once again, a conversion lift study would be recommended. It is preferred. You can also set it up as an A/B test as well. So one of the options is that you can have essentially the business as usual versus the partial automation, or you can set it up, you can opt in for one of these solutions. If you're running an A/B test, you can set up one of these solutions. So for instance, Advantage Campaign Budget with and without, and then you can utilize an A/B test to test that out, or you can do the same for placements. So Advantage Campaign, Advantage Plus placements, without versus without Advantage Plus placements, and then Advantage Plus audience versus without Advantage Plus audience to really zero in. So with that in mind, do have a bit of a think, right? What are some of these tools that you're going to be utilizing? What are some of the tests that you're going to be putting in place? What are the steps that you're going to be taking moving forward? I'm going to have a little bit of coffee and water. If you feel comfortable sharing, you can do that as well in the Q&A, because it is important, right, not only to hear the best practices, it is also important to identify what is it that you're going to do moving forward. So you can share that with me in the Q&A. In addition to that, what are some of the key takeaways? So Advantage, we talked about Advantage Plus sales campaigns. They're a fully automated end-to-end solution. You can utilize essentially audience automation, Advantage Campaign Budget automation, as well as placement automation. With Advantage Plus sales campaigns, you can enhance your campaigns as well with single-step solutions. So Advantage Plus Creative is an example of that, or Advantage Plus Audience is another example, can be utilized as a single-step solution. Advantage Plus Catalog Ads and Advantage Plus Destination. You want to be implementing that conversion CPI to tracking the data, and you can utilize tests for reporting and measurement.